shittiest things to me. I was at a neighborhood barbecue this summer, and one of my neighbors, she's 9 years old, and she was very interested in what college life is like. And she was like, what do you study? And I said, Earth Systems. I'm an Earth sister. And she goes, oh, you study the Earth. Who was the first person who lived on the Earth? And I'm like, I don't know, Anaya. I'm so sorry. And she said, well, it looks like somebody doesn't pay attention in class. Very brutal. It was hard coming back here after that. Yes. So I'm an Earth Systems major, and I live in Column Bay, right across the street. And it's very interesting living there, like very much more outdoorsy and active than I was expecting. Like, I'll wake up in the morning and I go to the kitchen and everybody's in there. Oh my God, more Column Bay people just showed up. Don't listen to them, those clowns. Okay, so I go into the kitchen and everybody's like cooking and singing and laughing, and I go in and they're like, good morning, little sunflower. Oh, we're gonna go and take a delightful walk in the forest and pick cherry blossoms. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down, let's go. But I was not always like that as a kid. Like, I was not outdoorsy. We did not go camping or mountain biking or all these things that these people are into. Have you guys heard of like indoor cats? It's the cats that just, like, they live their whole, they're cats that spend their whole lives inside. And that's kind of how I was raised. Like, I'd go home from school, I'd get a little snack, and then I would just read, and I'd read until it was time to go to school again. Yes. So, kind of like how a lot of engineering majors live. So that all changed when I was like 11. That was when my cousin decided to invite my younger sister and I to sleepaway camp. It was the summer, and she was like 9 years old, and my cousin was 12, and it was an event. So I don't even remember what my feelings were when I heard about this sleepaway camp, but I think I just like looked up from my book and was like, yes, make the arrangements, but leave me to my studies. And so eventually the day came and we got dropped off, and it was somewhere in the mountains in Northern California. I don't remember where because I was baby. And there was still snow on the ground. Like, we were at high elevation, and I should have known that it was not the place for me, because as soon as we put our duffel bags down, they said, okay, time for the hike. We're gonna take you guys on Heart Attack Hill. We're gonna turn you motherfuckers into men. And the intensity of that hike, it still gives me pains today. And so I look at Bianca and I was like, what the heck? Our cousin's name is Hannah, and I said, what did Hannah enlist us in? Like, what is this? And Bianca's like, be quiet. Bianca had a very deep voice as a little child. And so she goes, be quiet. I'm trying to make cadet by afternoon. So she got really into it immediately. The Heart Attack Hill, that was just the warm-up. Because we get to the top, and then the trail leader is like, all right, you worms. Now, we're gonna go up Devil's Titty. And then he goes, if you fall behind, whistle. Whistle? I don't know how to whistle. And so then we go on this next march up Devil's Titty, and there's like all these like dehydrated children, like they just wander off the trail, and I just leave them, because at this point you're just thinking about like one foot in front of the other. And they kept promising us that we were going to have a special treat at the top. And that was like sustaining me so much. And so we get to the top, and it was like solid incline, like at the peak, at the nipple of Devil's City. And so at the top, like, they said, halt! And so we all just, like, flopped back. The kids are, like, twitching. So then they start passing out our treats. And it has walnuts in it, so I can't eat it because I'm allergic. And I know. It gets worse. And so then somebody's like, are you crying because it's such a beautiful view? And I was like, no, I'm so tired. My eyes are bleeding. I don't even remember like getting off of the titty. Like, I have no memory of the walk back. I'm pretty sure like the other kids carried me in a stretcher back then. But by the time we got back down, it was nighttime. And so they were like, it's time to go stargazing, let's go. And I'm looking at Bianca and I'm like, we haven't had a chance to play Club Penguin. All we do is walk. We know none of these kids. What are we doing here? And my cousin, she's having a great time because she knew several other kids. And so when we're going stargazing, my cousin decides to try to trick all the other campers into thinking that she and her friends are boys. And so they, as one does, puts on their hood and like lowers their voice, and so they're walking around and they come up to me and they're like, hey, did you think we were boys? I'm like, first of all, no, my cousin. Second of all, you're the only 6th grader who's pushing 6 feet. Like, my cousin was built like a giraffe, okay? So no, I know it's you, but Bianca, she was a little more easily fooled. She was like, Sonja, I can't find Hannah. Hannah! We gotta find Hannah! But I could not be bothered at that point because, unbeknownst to the rest of us, I was getting very sick. And so, I just kind of do this like when I'm in a little stressful situation, or like at a sleepaway camp where they make you do intensive walking. I just like, my body just makes me sick. And so the next morning we wake up for breakfast chow time, and I go tell my counselor, my stomach hurt, I feel bad. And so I'm immediately taken to this place called the Healing Hut. Yes. And it looks like it sounds. But this is the part of the story where like the scholars have some dispute about what happens next. So here's what I believe happened. I believe that I went into the Healing Hut around breakfast, and then I came out later that afternoon. Other scholars, like my sister, believe that I went into the Healing Hut, and then I was in there for 3 days. Okay. So what she says is that I was unconscious, but she and my cousin would have supervised visits where they would take their plates from the dining hall and come sit by my bed, and they would eat in silence over my unconscious body. And they would have a counselor there watching, and then they'd say, okay, let's go, it's time to march. This camp has this weird policy where they didn't want you to leave. They wanted you to be resilient and tough it out. Don't call home, just like you on your own, facing the elements as an 8-year-old. And so Bianca started to feel like maybe being unconscious for this long was something that my parents should know about. So she starts to make requests, can I call home? And they go, no. And she goes, please, I just want to say hi. And then eventually she wears him down. So this old counselor lady, she was so strict, she calls him up and then she's like, hey, you have to promise not to tell your parents that Sonja's sick. And she goes, I promise, I pinky promise. And so then she gets on the phone, she's like, hi, Dad. Sonja's been sick for days. You gotta go pick her up. And then they take the phone away. You promised. They're outraged, and they're like restraining Bianca. She's like kicking and spitting and fighting. It was like Hunger Games style, according to sources. I was dead. And so then my dad's on the other line, and he's like, what was that? And the counselor lady, she's like, oh, Sonia has a little cold, but she's having a great time. She just can't speak right now. So everything's fine up here. And my mom's like, no, Chuck, something's up. Let's just go up there and see what's happening. And so the counselors are like, crap, they're coming. And so they before my parents pull up, they rouse me. And I remember this happening. And they said, come on. Come on. We need you to come build these shelters. And so it takes me to the rest of the kids, and they're all building a house with branches that they have. And I'm delirious and all sweaty and sick. And so I go up to Bianca, I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? I'm so confused. And she's like, keep your head down. And when I tell you to run, run. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And so then my parents pull up eventually in our minivan, and Bianca grabs me by the hair, and off we go. So why am I a systems major? We got out fine. I mean, I haven't seen my cousin in 10 years, but I think she likes it up there. So I think I like it. I think I like it for the intrigue, because that never happened to me when I was an indoor child. Yes, thank you so much. This was great.